Pretty much up next, we're going to be tackling the drowned figure. I'm going to be repainting her, changing up her accessories. So I'll be tackling this one next. What up? Welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, we're going to take a look at some custom work I've done on the McFarlane DC Multiverse Robin. Now, this is something I have been wanting to do, which was make a hooded Robin. So, took a little work. I'm pretty much happy with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now I did want to do a little bit different changes just to add some spiciness to it, because I always like to add my own little flair, to these figures. So let's take a look at them now. Of course, first thing I had to do was chop off his luscious hair, because it would have been too hard to get the hood on him with that big poof of hair that he had. So pretty much I just put him in some boiling water, and then the hair did pretty much just pry off. I started at the sideburns and then worked my way and kept pulling and pulling until it all peeled off. Now I did end up using some of the hair right in the front of his forehead. I wanted a little bit of hair just to make sure he had like some strands. You can't really see them, but they are there in the hood. And then I did paint it all black, just so you wouldn't be able to see it once the hood was on. Now the hood, all I basically did was peel away the hood that they had there, peel it forward, and then I used an extra cape that I had from the Dark Knight's Batman. I had the whole cape left over from a custom that I did, so I just pretty much turned it into pieces and fixed it and bent it and shaped it until I got pretty much like a hood on the back of this Robin figure. So once I got all that like collage of pieces put together, I put a little bit of epoxy just to fill in some of the bigger gaps. I didn't get it as smooth as I would like, but since the cape actually has a little bit of texture, it's fine. You're not really going to see it because he's usually going to be face forward. I did add a little bit of cool accents. So the hood is the main part that I changed. As you move down, I added a little bit of like gold yellow to accent the circle on his belt and the buttons on the little pouches. I did the R, the Robin R up here on his chest. Some of the little buttons and stuff like on the knee pads, I also added that little bit of gold color. Now one thing I did do is on the fists and on the boots, I added some black flat paint, just because in some of the images that I've looked up online, he had the gloves, like the knuckles and the back part of it painted in. And then there's some images, some iterations of Robin where he has like the bottom part of the sole of the boots blacked in. So I also did that with some flat black, and then once I added the matte sealer, it gave a little bit of shine, but not too much because I didn't really want like a big shine from it. And then of course I painted the inside so that there's still articulation, but there's still paint in there. All in all, really happy with him. Let's take a look at the bottom of him. He still has that pretty cool tread, but with that paint that I added. And then looking up the back, like I said before, I just made a whole bunch of different pieces of that extra cape that I had to fill in where the hood is at. And then I did add this little piece that's like a sword sheath. I also painted the underneath yellow and then coated it. That way it would hold up to any rubbing, or it wouldn't just come off. The underneath side of Robin, and of course in a lot of pictures that's how he's portrayed, with the underneath part yellow. It just gave it a little bit of difference from the original release, so that's why I mainly did it. Let's go ahead and bring in the original version. And of course he did come with this big Deathstroke Sword. But if you get them next to each other, you could really see the differences that I made. Pretty happy with it. Of course, it's not perfect, but I did learn a lot. And then I also found some new materials that I'm going to start working with to make these customs like a little bit, you know, to give me like a little other techniques that I could use to do the things I want to do. So you'll see that in the future. Like I said before, he does come with this Deathstroke Sword. And the main thing that now I'm going to do is I'm going to display the original one with the Deathstroke Sword. And then I'm going to end up giving my custom this samurai sword that I had bought originally. Now this does come from the Mattel Batman Ninja, and it just happens to fit perfectly with this Robin, because of course this sword is way bigger than this sword, and a lot of times when you see him in the comics, he usually has a samurai sword. Now the other accessory that he had come with was like this kind of like shrieking glaive shaped weapon. And what I did is I drilled a hole in it, and then I passed a black peg through it. And the reason I did this is because if you lift up his arm, back here in the back, I put it like a hole. I did paint it in yellow because I kind of like scraped it up a little bit. Now it looks pretty cool. It just has the hole. And you can actually peg this weapon inside there so it'll hold it. Pretty cool. Just something I wanted to add for my own self. I really like the way it looks, and it's, you know, easily accessible if you want to put it in his hand or whatever. And then of course he does have his sword. Now that thing in the back that I told you I put, that is because I did see some images where he has his sword like just in the back of him. So you just slide that in there. And now he has his sword sheath. You can see him from the front. Looks pretty cool. It works pretty easy. You just let it fall in there and it's in there. So pretty cool. Of course it also looks cool in his hand, but you could display him any way you want. Pretty happy with the way it came out. It gives you guys some ideas of how you could make a hooded Robin if you'd like to make it. Now let's go ahead and look at some other Damian Wayne Robins that I have in my collection. Starting off with this old school DC Direct Damian Wayne Robin. Of course he does come with his sword. Pretty much the first Damian Wayne figure that I ever picked up. And then you have the DC Signature Collection Damian Wayne. Pretty cool. He looks pretty angry. And then you had the Mattel Damian Wayne that actually came hooded and with a Court of Owl mask that you could take off and on. And finally, one of the later Robins that I picked up was this Batman versus Ninja Turtles Damian Wayne. That was a pretty cool figure. He does come with an alternate hooded head that you could swap in and out, so that's a pretty nice little Damian Wayne figure. But anyways guys, like I said, this is just to give you some inspiration if you'd like to make a hooded Damian Wayne for yourself. Pretty happy with him. He will be going up there on the display shelf next to the original unaltered release. But that's it for now. Stay hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.